Alright, here we are again. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to have to find a new book. Just got the new order, so we're not going to see each other until May, at least. Hope we figure something out, but we're going to work hard to get some stuff out to you guys and figure out how we're going to make this all work. So we're probably going to do 3 chapters today. Stella Diaz never gives up. If anybody has any suggestions for books that maybe I should read after we finish this one, I will take them, please. In the comments below, give me some ideas. I have noticed that people have been watching, so that's good. But don't be afraid to answer any of those questions. Chapter 16. The next day at camp, I walk in through the front doors determined. Before Mr. Kyle and Ms. Susan start going over the schedule, I corner them. I've been reading, I begin. Ooh, that's terrific. What about? Asked Ms. Susan. I read about how the oceans are filling up with plastic. I spent all afternoon being blue yesterday, but today, more than ever, I want to fix it. I curl my fist and pump it. Mr. Kyle and Ms. Susan look at each other and then nod at me. Awesome, young lady. But I don't know how, I replied, looking down at the ground. Hey there, don't worry. We'll give you some ideas, I promise, says Miss Susan. Once all the campers have arrived and settled down, Mr. Kyle speaks. Today we are going to work more on the enrichment toys, but I want to start the day talking about something else. I know many people are concerned about the oceans. Stella just came to us this morning feeling pretty blue about it. I turned a little roja. I didn't know that I'd be put on the spot. How many of you feel that way too? Everyone else raises their hands. The roja fades away. I'm not alone. So I thought we could spend some time brainstorming ideas, little things that we can do to make a change, Mr. Kyle continues. Specifically, let's think of ways we can cut down on plastic. I perk up. I'm all ears. Mr. Kyle writes on the board, ways to cut down on plastic. So, do any of you have any ideas? Logan raises his hand. You can carry a reusable bottle. My dad got me this one. Look, I have a reusable mug for my coffee. I use it and wash it every day. That's a great idea. And remember, you don't have to put just water in it. You can put in juice or coffee when you're older, responds Miss Susan. Anyone else? Asked Mr. Kyle. Kristen raises her hand. What about plastic straws? My mom said we shouldn't use those anymore. Well, I love plastic straws. That's a great idea, replies Mr. Kyle, writing it down. And there are some great reusable straws, too, made out of silicone and stainless steel. Whew, I feel relieved. Then I think of one. Could people use tote bags instead of plastic bags? My neighbor Linda always carries one around. Yes, and make sure to say no when you are offered a plastic bag, said Mr. Kyle, writing my suggestion on the board next to the other ideas. Does anyone else have an idea? Said Miss Susan. The room grows silent. Everyone is scratching their heads trying to come up with an idea. Ms. Susan raises her hand. Can I suggest one? We all nod our heads. What about plastic spoons, forks, and knives? Just bring your own with you and say no when someone like a restaurant offers you some. Fabulous, says Mr. Kyle, writing it down. Ms. Susan said, this is a great start, and these are only 4 recommendations. But if all of you follow them, then it can make a big impact. And if you all spread the word, it can have even a bigger effect. I look at the list on the board. This is easy. I can do this, I think. Then Mr. Kyle says, and one last suggestion. There is a great article called Planet or Plastic in National Geographic. Kristen raises her hand. I know that article. I stopped reading it. It was so sad. I completely agree. It's heartbreaking. But its sole purpose is to inform. You know, sometimes you have to confront people with really hard information to make them realize how important the cause is, says Mr. Kyle. I nod. It's so upsetting. But now that I know more about how we're harming the oceans, I have to save them. And I'm going to tell everyone about the plastic crisis, or at least try. Even if it's scary to talk to new people, that is too important. But the best part of the article is that at the end there is a pledge. By signing the pledge, you agree to stop using so much plastic because you love the oceans more. I can do that. I'm so determined that I speak aloud without even thinking. I thought so, replies Ms. Susan, especially coming from the future Sylvia Earle. So her ideas are carry a reusable bottle, say no to plastic straws, carry a tote bag, and say no to plastic bags, and say no to plastic cutlery. That's, I can't get this turned right. Where are we going here? This way. This is the list. Chapter 17. When Mom picks me up from camp, today she is distracted. She ends up talking on her cell phone with people from work on the ride on the metro. I'm not able to tell her my latest developments from camp yet. At home, we agree to buy another ringing phone. This time it's the house phone. Stella, it's for you, she yells. I pick up the phone expecting that it's Dad. I sent him a present from Mexico. Hola, Stella, it's me, Stanley. I gasp. This is the best surprise. I got your email. My dad said it sounded like you needed a real phone call. Are you still sad about the oceans? I'm far from sad now that I have some ideas from camp, but I'm lucky to have a friend who cares. I'm doing much better, I say. My camp counselors gave me some information on how to cut down on plastic. Tell me so I can start telling everyone. All right, as another person. I read out loud the 4 recommendations and tell him how we could sign the National Geographic Pledge online. Pfft, easy peasy, he says. Hey, what if you make your own pledge from the points? If everyone signs it, we'd save a lot of plastic from going into the oceans. I gasped. That's a good idea. Stanley also thanks me for my postcard and letter. He says he was jealous that I had such a cool adventure in Mexico. How was the rest of space camp, I asked. Awesome. I met a real-life astronaut. His name is Leland Melvin. He was in the NFL until he got injured, and then he became an astronaut with hard work. Wow, a successful guy. Wow, I replied. Then he says, yeah, he's my new hero. But I'll be back next week, and I can tell you more about it then. I'll be happy to help you save the oceans, too. Deal, I replied. After hanging up, I check in with Mom. I'm positive she'll be happy to sign my new pledge. Mom is working on her laptop in her bedroom. She looks a little busy, and it looks important. But my thing is important, too. We need to stop using so much plastic, I say from the doorway. Mom looks deep in thought at her computer. Mom, I reply. Mom closes her laptop a little. Mi amor, give me 1 hour of work time, then I'll be all ears, I promise. I spend the next hour going around the house pulling out plastic bags and plastic bottles. I start with our kitchen pantry, then move to the bathrooms and the trash bins. I pile all of them onto the kitchen counter. Like Miss Susan said, sometimes you need to confront people with hard facts. Finally, Mom comes out of her bedroom. Stella, she says, sounding a little annoyed. I can tell because her voice gets much deeper. Her eyes are fixed on the plastic collection. ¿Qué haces? Ooh, I gotta write that down. I think ¿qué haces must mean, what's this? That's gonna be my guess. I'm trying to find all the plastic in the house to demonstrate how much we use. Mom touches her head in frustration. I see, she says, holding her hands on her hips. Well, it's very messy in here. Oh no, I think. My demonstration is not Mom approved. If there's one thing Mom doesn't care for, it's messes. But I just wanted to show her why this is so important. I have to fix this. I'll clean it up. But see, we use a lot of plastic, so much. Mom doesn't look quite convinced. It takes almost 500 years for a plastic bottle to decompose, I say, holding a bottle of water. Then I grab my journal. Look, I have this to read. And I wrote down this list from camp today. I'm going to turn it into a pledge that everyone can sign. She grabs my journal and takes one long, deep breath. You read this on the couch and I'll put everything away. You read this on the couch and I'll put everything away, I say, trying to smile extra big. Mom moves into the living room and begins to read while I put everything back in its proper place. When everything is organized, I join Mom on the couch. She looks more relaxed, but is still more serious than usual. I know this is important to you, Mom replies. Her voice sounds controlled, like she's being deliberate with every word. And I will sign the pledge and promise to cut back on plastic. I exhale a big sigh of relief. Whew. Not only is Mom no longer upset, she's going to sign my pledge. Then Mom adds, but you also have to be okay that we might use some plastic in the future. Can you promise that? I promise, I reply. I feel better knowing Mom is not really mad. Even better, we're going to cut down on plastic as well. I also had a thought while you were cleaning up, she says, pointing to my list. If we're going to stop using plastic bags, we're going to need more tote bags. I nod. That's true. And we have all this leftover fabric in our craft box. Why don't we try to make our own tote bags? I squeal. That's the best idea ever. Can we try to do that tonight after dinner, I ask? Si, she replies. Later that night, Mom and I use the sewing machine to make tote bags. We add leftover crazy fabric to make them as eccentric as possible. Who says being green has to be aburrido? Mom says, holding a zigzag fabric. So aburrido must mean boring, I bet, right? Or dull. As always, Mom is right. Going green isn't boring. I was right. Chapter 18. On the 4th day of camp, Ms. Susan and Mr. Kyle spend more time talking about ocean conservation. We've had requests for more information. We also thought it was time to share some happier news. All right. I found out that many places are making big strides with plastic. For instance, some cities, like San Francisco, have even banned plastic bags. Many businesses are eliminating plastic straws. Some countries like Denmark are so green friendly that a person there only uses an average of 4 plastic bags a year. I raise my hand. I'm feeling nervous, but I want to share my new pledge with the group. I spent an hour this morning designing it with fun bubble letters. Even Mom agreed it looked great. I'm a little scared to ask everyone separately to sign, so I decided to start with Mr. Kyle first. He's easier to talk to, and he has a louder voice than I do anyway. I was thinking about our 4 points yesterday that we wrote down, and I made it into a pledge. I'm thinking maybe everyone could sign it. That's brilliant, said Mr. Kyle. Will everyone sign Stella's pledge? I look around timidly. To my surprise, everyone is nodding their head. Why don't you pass it around, adds Susan. I pass it to Kristen, who passes it to Logan. One by one, all the campers sign the pledge. I even get a few thumbs up. Finally, Kristen brings the pledge back to me. This is so smart. I also love how you drew the letters, says Kristen. It just doesn't feel like enough, I reply. I want more people to sign. I feel like there's only so much I can do, and this is a gigantic problem. I feel the same way, she replies. Suddenly, Kristen jumps up. I've got it! Maybe we should start a group. That way we can do more together. That's a great idea, I reply. Then I pause. But I don't know how to do that. Do you? I raise my eyebrows. Me either, says Kristen. But there's no harm in trying. Before we can chat about it more, we move on to finishing our enrichment toys. I'm pleased with the design Kristen, Mariel, and I came up with. We took a hula hoop and attached different shapes out of rubber strips of fabric. And look, there it is. There is a dolphin playing with it. We designed our toy with dolphins in mind. Dolphins are one of the smartest mammals and love to play. We hope that it will keep them entertained. I realize, though, as I hold the toy in my hands, how little I spoke to Mariel during our group project. I could just never figure out what to say to her. She always looked like she was deep in thought, or worse. Like maybe she doesn't like me, or how am I going to start a group if I can't speak to everyone? At lunchtime, I begin to talk to Kristen more about the club idea, when out of the blue, Logan joins our table. I haven't spoken to him much, but he seems nice and excited about the things he really likes. Kristen told me that you have a Save the Oceans group, he says. I sit back. Kristen looks sheepish. I'm surprised, but I feel happy. I guess Kristen decided to start the club idea for us. We've just started, I reply. It's just a couple of us. And they are talking about it over lunch or snack. Logan looks disappointed. Oh no, I'm underselling this. I enthusiastically reply, but we have ideas. I've made posters with my best friend Jenny. Logan stares at me, waiting for me to say more. This happens often when I'm feeling shy. Then I remember Jenny's baking book and I have a moment of inspiration. And we're going to do a bake sale and give all the money to an ocean charity. We are? Says Kristen. She looks excited. I shrug and nod. Sure. Logan replies, that's great, but we've got to do more. I think so too. Do you have any suggestions? I asked. Logan grabs his chin. It's a classic thinking position. And maybe we can get people to sign the pledge you mentioned at the bake sale, he replies. My mouth drops open. That's even better. I like that. We could make a printout and everyone could take it home with them to help remind them, Kristen exclaims. Logan shakes her head. That will waste paper. Ooh, good point. I frown. He's right. If we're going to be green, we need not be wasteful. What if we make a blog page, responds Kristen. My older sister has one, and she could help us get one up. That's a good idea, replies Logan. Mr. Kyle comes over. I couldn't help it over here. I know it's not the ocean, but we have something we can do right here. We have cleanup day at the beach. We have cleanup day at the beach where I live also. On Lake Michigan. It's this Saturday. Ms. Susan and I will be there. Yes, we all shout. Mr. Kyle leaves, and I pull out my notebook so that Kristen and Logan can write down their phone numbers. As I look at their handwriting, I feel encouraged. I have an official group. Perhaps together we can really make a big change. At least it will be more than I could have done all alone. I think she should ask Mariel to join the group if she feels so bad about not asking her questions. But that's the end of our chapters today. Not that many pictures, and I don't think there were that many Spanish words. I didn't preview the chapters yet, so I don't know. But I don't think there were as many Spanish words as there has been. It seems to be kind of dying down a little bit as we get later into the book. But I think tomorrow we're probably going to see them maybe doing some beach cleaning and trying to really start to tackle this problem. All right, thanks for checking in. Don't forget to check in with me down here. Let me know what you think about the book. Answer some of the questions. Watch some of the videos. See you tomorrow, everybody.